Hello there, welcome to video 1, Dataset, Learn and Predict. As you open your Excel workbook, you will go to Home here, but if you have installed the AiSara Excel add-in, there will be AiSara here. And let's go ahead and take a look at Dataset sample. So basically, if you want to start learning how to work with AiSara Excel, which is not very hard to do, it would be ideal you have a sample data set. Here it actually provides you several options several data sets to choose from. So let's just pick oil and gas and history matching. Okay, and select anchor cell. Anchor cell is where you want to put the data in. So I'm just going to select A1 here and click OK. Data set loaded. Fantastic. Okay, let's go quickly on the data set that we have loaded before. So there's 6 variables here, input 1 to input 6, and these are actually the headers. The variables used for the history matching, and this is the output, the target, the HM error, and they are roughly about 50, say about 50 or 51 rows of data here. Okay, so now a lot of times what you only need is actually the learn and the predict function. The rest, the learn and the predict is not, there's no buttons here, no menu here for predict, but basically it's mainly the learn and the predict, and the rest are nice to have. Okay, with learn and predict you can do almost everything else, or basically you have everything that you need really. So let's just quickly go to learn. There are 2 ways to do it. One is using the form here, and because I have done it before, it's actually have filled in the data here. It remembers what I have done before. The other option is to actually use a formula. Okay, and I'm just going to use the formula for now, just to give you an intuitive feel of what using a formula is looks like. Okay, so you just enter the keyword learn. I'm just going to just going to put it here. Just enter the keyword learn, and then I'm just going to choose the input data set, or the input section of it, which is everything here, the 6 variables here, and you don't have to do the header and the output. Okay, and I think that's really it. Okay, so it's done, right? So in less than a second, he's actually learned the pattern of the data. So that's really fast. Of course, when you have large data set, it's going to take some time. So now you can do the same by actually choosing using this form, where you actually indicate where your input data set is, where your output data set is, and also where you want to actually put the learn, or the what we call the brand cell, which is cell K10 here. Of course, if you use your formula, you don't, wherever you type your formula, that's where your anchor cell is. Anchor cell is going to be very important as we go along later on. You'll see, especially when you want to do predict. Okay, so we've done learn here. So now let's quickly do a predict. I've actually forgot to say that you can actually for the demonstration purpose, I'm just going to color the input and output range here. Okay, right. So let's do a predict now. Let's see, predict. I'm just gonna use this input range, because you want to make a prediction based on certain input data set, right? Certain input. So that's what we're doing here, right? And then sorry, I actually forgot to mention, so it has learned the data, so you need to make reference to the learning that was done before. So that's K10. Okay, and B13 to G13 is actually the input here, and then output is column 1 of the output. Here we actually have one column only, so it makes sense to put one, but sometimes certain data sets you can actually have several output to choose from. In that case, you will put either column 1, 2, or 3, for example. So let's see how this predict works. Okay, so we actually have the data, the actual data to be 0.23, and we get really close here, 0.023. You can also then you can imagine that you can actually compare the whole input with the output, right? And then here let's just make a absolute reference by putting the dollar sign here. Okay, and then let's do this. So it's going to take a couple of seconds to do the prediction here. Okay, so that's done, right? So basically has gone through everything. You can see that in a lot of cases the numbers are very close. It's not an exact fit because AiSara doesn't overfit. It actually looks for the overall pattern. Okay, so it may miss the actual data slightly, but the whole point is that if there's noise, it's not influenced as much by the noise as well. Okay, because the main objective is to look for the overall pattern. Okay, so now we're gonna try to do a what if scenario, so we're gonna actually do a prediction based on we don't have the data for it, we're just going to do a prediction. So let's just put some random numbers here, 9850, and let's say 1.02 here, 4.4. You can see that I'm trying to make the numbers are very close together, very close to this row. Let's just put 1.4 and 0.95 here, and 1.4, and see what's the predicted number is. So as usual, you make a reference to the anchor cell, the length, what are the input data, and what's the output column. In this case we only have one, so basically column 1, which is HM error, is the output that we after. Okay, so it came out to very close to this number here, 0.22. We have 0.219. So we can actually see which variable out of these 6 variables has more impact. For example, you can do what if scenarios on the output. So let's say we changed it to 1.3. Does it change so much? No. Let's say this becomes 1.1. Okay, not so much. 1.3. Whoa, okay, so you can see that this variable has quite a big impact. Let's just bring it back to 1.4, I think, just now. Okay, so let's say 4. Okay, not too much. Okay, and let's say this one, 0.95. Okay, doesn't really have that much of the impact. So what if this is 9,000? Still not too much impact. So you could see that this variable here just now has quite, even if we move down a little bit, it already has quite significant impact on the result. So here you can actually do a lot of some very rudimentary what if analysis. You can start copying these numbers down and change them and see what's the outcome on the results. Okay, so that's really it for the predict. You can already see how powerful this can be, and the next step is to actually we're going to look at other features like the blind test, 2D 3D, to do a 2D plot, and to do some sort of tornado or spider plot. Okay, thank you.